Health is wealth. Well, we all know that, but we don't know how to get there. And so today I have a special guest for you. This is Trent. He's actually the founder of the gym that I go to called Transform 40. And I'm here today to talk to him about his journey in business, but also get some tips on how he got so muscular. And, I too have a goal of getting a six pack, but it's more of actually the journey of getting there. I know I will be more healthier, and this is a message I want to give out to all the entrepreneurs out there. How do you actually succeed in business, but also succeed in other areas of life? So, thank you, Trent, for coming on today.
Thank you, Lynn.
Let's get started by sharing a little bit about your background and how you got started in the fitness industry.
Yeah, beautiful. So my background is I was playing rugby league professionally. I was in the NRL with the Sharks for 2 years there. Played a bit of first grade, mostly reserve grade, and I was in the top squad, and I found myself kind of spinning my wheels and felt like I needed to travel the world and kind of live a young man's life at about 21, 22. So then I retired from footy, traveled the world for a bit, came home and had no money, no nothing, no car, sold that to travel. And then I was talking to my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, and she was like, well, why don't you be a personal trainer? Like, all you've ever done is care about fitness and you're so focused on it and you understand like nutrition and you're into all those kind of things. Like, why don't you try personal training? So I started personal training at Anytime Fitness out in Ingadine back in about 2013, 2014. And found that I'd really knack straight away for the mindset side of things, understanding how to get people to tap into understanding what's important to them and what would actually produce a result. Understanding like the pillars of fitness being fitness, nutrition, mindset, and accountability. So taught that, had a successful business there for 5-6 years. Then I hit the point where I guess most business owners hit when it's them in the business working all the time, realize that there's nowhere to really go from there, nowhere to scale. So that's when I had the idea to start Transform 40. So that was 7 years ago now. We opened up Carrying Bar Transform 40 in a tiny little office space that, it was tiny, 200 square meters, probably half or a third the size of this gym, and even smaller than the gym we now have at Carrying Bar. But it was perfect for the startup. So myself and a couple of young guys got it going, and we got through those first kind of year or two of learning how to run a business, grew it to the point where we outgrew where we were, moved across to a really big facility where we are now, and then opened up this one, which you're in right now, Carlton, and then we have a license out at Campsie.
Nice. So we're going to talk about two things in this episode. I love the business side because I want to hear how you grew it, but then I also want to talk about the health side.
Yeah.
So with the business side, what were some of the lessons you learned in business and mindset, like you said? In health, like you said, there were mindset things. How were you able to apply that in business and made it successful as well?
Yeah, I think for me, every time I've struggled with anything in my life, when it is business related, I always go back to the core beliefs that I've always known to work for anybody, which is to look after yourself. So I went through a period not that long ago when we had our first son where I had some of my team moving away out of state, and I had, obviously my wife just had a baby, not getting any sleep, we're both very stressed out. I hadn't been eating and training that well in the lead up to having the baby. And I felt myself getting stressed and out of the ordinary emotions that I don't usually experience. And I said to myself, okay, what advice would you give anyone else? And I said, for 6 weeks, I'm going to eat perfectly. I'm not going to touch alcohol. I'm going to train my butt off. I'm going to run whenever I get the chance to. I'm going to listen to people like Tony Robbins, the things that got me going in this industry in the first place, and just focus on fueling my body and my mind to put myself in the best place possible to deal with that business stress. And lo and behold, 6 weeks later, everything had found a way to sort itself out. And it's not because of magic, it's because I looked after myself in those key areas I could control, which led to the areas I didn't feel like I had control in, but then all of a sudden I had more energy and I was looking after myself better, I found a way to fix it.
Yeah, it's so interesting. We think we don't have time for that, but then because you don't have time, you really need to do that because then everything else will fall into place. So talk about Transform 40. I really love the name as well. When I joined this gym, I love the concept because it was like group workout. But the other thing was the word Transform 40. I turned 40 and transformation was kind of my keyword, and it was like God's design or
your
something.
Instagram profile.
I then came up with an Instagram profile called Transform 40 because it's, my age of 40 and from here on I want to transform. Today, as we're shooting this, it's also the day that I quit alcohol a year ago. So it is a very significant time in my life where I felt like health is very important and I just don't want to live with regret. Like, we're all going to die one day. We could hit some sort of health issues, but at least I want to know that I didn't cause it. Yeah. And so tell me more about your concept of Transform 40, how you came up with that niche, because I think in the gym industry, there's just so many similar ones, but I really like that you came up with something quite unique.
Yeah, thank you. So the fitness industry is very commoditized. People just compare kind of prices and types of training. And we always knew that, and we knew that a lot of gyms, especially 7 years ago, they were missing the mark. They weren't incorporating that mindset side of things to help people transform their mind, knowing their body will follow. They focus on the fitness, and then there's no accountability, no nutrition, just make the class as fun as possible and as energetic as possible and the best music possible. That was the only focus. Which, if you understand anything about the human body, the training doesn't just change you. Okay, the training does very little. It builds muscle, it makes you stronger, it makes you fitter, all great. But without the nutritional understanding and without the mindset needed, there's no way you're ever going to see that six pack. You know what I mean? So we thought, okay, Transform 40 is going to be about transforming the mind first. We do a lot of mindset coaching, almost like life coaching to a degree, but like at a small level. So mindset coaching through the online platform, through my coaches, through my own teachings, all the things I've picked up over 12 to 15 years of being obsessed with personal development. That's all woven in there. So we transform the mind. We know the body will follow. Then through that, we have the fitness side of things, where we have the classes, the personal training, things like that. And then we have the nutritional side of things, where it's about 80% nutrition. If you get that part wrong, you'll never see the results you want to see. Okay? You'll get fitter and stronger, like I said, but you'll never get that body aspect of change. You'll never lose that body fat. So trying to weave those in and then having accountability on the back of that as a fourth pillar, knowing that you have a coach on your side who's going to text you, contact you, making sure that things are working out for you. If they're not working out, sit down with you, reassess your goals. Where are we going wrong? What's wrong with our behaviors? What are we not missing? What are we hitting? And yeah, from there, that's where the Transform thing comes from.
Yeah, and Transform 40 stands for the 40 days that you usually do a challenge as well. I love that because I think we all love a bit of a challenge. We all love to kind of sprint through to get somewhere. And so tell me more about that.
Yeah, so the whole idea of the 40-day challenge and Transform 40 was that back when I first started PT, a lot of people were doing 12-week challenges. And I felt 12 weeks is too long for someone who's just kickstarting something brand new to have the follow through and the belief in themselves to do it for 12 weeks.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, cut it in half, do 6 weeks, which is 40 days, where they begin their journey, they've set really lofty goals, they're really excited about achieving, they want to get out of pain into pleasure. They get their nutrition sorted, their training sorted, the whole bit, photos, measurements, scale weigh-ins, the whole bit. Then they know they have 6 weeks to really kickstart the momentum, okay? And it's not that everything's fixed in 6 weeks. It's like they trick themselves and we trick them into hitting an amazing goal they wouldn't have hit in 12 weeks in just 6 because they've given up alcohol and all those other kind of things. And then they get to 6 weeks, set a new goal, sit down with their coach and reassess, and then go again. So instead of doing 12 weeks where they failed, they end up doing, say, 18 or 24 weeks or 56 or forever, where they start to actually realize they can build these habits and maintain them. But if you think, okay, I'm going to do all these hard things for 12 weeks straight, it's hard to wrap your head around.
Yes.
But if you say, okay, just 6 weeks, I'll look at it as week at a time. Do 1 week, okay, I've only got 5 to go. Or do it in 2 week blocks, okay, I've only got 3 2-week blocks. You can kind of chunk it down and make it more digestible.
Yeah, I kind of like 40 days. It sounds less than 6 weeks.
It does, yeah, it's slightly less. Yeah, so we start on a Monday and finish on Saturday.
Yeah. Okay, so if you're talking to an entrepreneur here, busy, working hard, setting financial goals, hitting it, but hey, there's still more to come. What would you say to help them go, hang on, pause, let's start to get your health in check and actually develop a habit where, like for now, I'm a busy mom, I'm an entrepreneur, and yet I could work out every day for an hour a day.
Yeah.
And I know that if I could do it, you all can do it, but would love to hear your perspective.
Yeah, well, my perspective is I've worked with entrepreneurs in the past, I've worked with business owners who have national companies and things like that. And I've found every single time they didn't have the time, they found the time, and then all of a sudden their life changed. And that's because they finally have the energy and the abundant mentality to feel better every day and have the energy to pour into their work and into their family. So I find a lot of people say, I don't have time, I don't have energy. And we can always find time. There's time somewhere. Like you look at your screen time on your phone, you're gonna find the time, okay? It exists somewhere in your life, whether it's getting up earlier or doing it later, there's always an answer. I always find with entrepreneurs, 5 a.m., nothing gets in the way. Get up at 5, do the training. I know it's hard, I know you go to bed late. Once you get up at 5 o'clock or 4:30 for 5 days straight, you'll find yourself going to bed earlier. You'll find yourself going to bed early, it's gonna happen. And then when it comes to not having the energy, this is one of the biggest fallacies that I've ever heard, because the human body is like a car battery. You need to generate energy by movement. Like if you sit a car on the side of the road for a month, it's not going to start. Humans are the same. Not having the energy to train means you don't have the energy not to train. You must do something to generate energy and vitality. Like Tony Robbins, who I mentioned before, he says all the time, there's no point in being the richest man in the graveyard or the richest woman in the graveyard. So I understand the importance of finance and money, especially these days. Things are tough. You want to make that your first priority for your family, to make enough money. But there's no point in having all that money and then no energy and then no vitality and no love of your body, where you're grumpy all the time and you've got no energy to do anything. And your experience of life is that low energy, not liking yourself, grumpy, stressed out, etc., all the money in the world isn't worth that for me. So it's about having that balance of course, money is an extremely important resource. You need that. But most people watching you, I presume, are doing pretty well there. So it's like, okay, how do you fill up your other cup of fitness? And all it takes is understanding nutrition and doing a decent job of it while moving your body half an hour a day. Okay, that's all it takes to dramatically change your life expectancy. When we dive into that, they've done studies recently where you go from 0 to 3 hours. So if you're doing no hours of exercise right now, if you just go from 0 hours per week to 3 hours per week, you'll see the greatest change out of any other metric for your health, okay, for your lifespan. So you'll reduce your risk of dying by 50% of all-cause mortality. So anything's going to make you just drop dead, like heart attack, stuff like that. Just by going from 0 to 3. If you go from 3 to 6, you see still a benefit, but not much. If you go from like, say, like us, like 7 to 10, very little benefit whatsoever as far as like your all-cause mortality. But if you go from 0 doing nothing to just 3 hours a week, so 6 days of 30 minutes of walking, jogging, lifting weights, you'll cut the chance of dying suddenly by 50%.
Yeah. So you touch on a few points here. You know, I think one of the key things that helped me to now have so much time for fitness and you know, live my intentional life is the fact that I created time.
You prioritized it. Yeah.
Used to wake up like everybody else at 8 a.m. or whenever my body clock felt like it could wake up. But then when I trained myself to wake up early from 5 a.m. to 4 a.m. and now even 3 a.m., it's not crazy once you get used to it and you sleep early. But that was when I was able to buy time. I would love to hear from you. What got you to waking up early and what has been some benefit? Because I know a lot of people who are dying to, you know, fix this area, but they just feel like, no, but I can't somehow.
Yes, there's always reasons, there's always excuses or smoke screens people tell themselves why they can't do something, especially getting out of bed early. So for me, when I was playing footy, I was getting up at like 10 a.m. in the morning. So I'd stay up really late, watching TV, watching movies, seeing friends. This was back in like when I was 21 years old. I'd sleep from like midnight till 10, feel like crap, even though I slept 10 hours, because those hours I slept were just no good for you.
Yeah, tell me more about that too. I heard that your body clock is, you know, kind of like according to the sun, etc. If you sleep, even though you get 8 hours or 10 hours, it's the fact that you slept at the odd time at 12.
Correct.
Can you dive into
Yeah, so after
that?
10 p.m., the sleep is nowhere near as beneficial as getting sleep before 10 p.m. Okay, so every hour you wait past 10 to go to bed, you're not getting the same kind of deep REM sleep, that kind of healing sleep. Because we're animals who've been around for, no one really knows, millions of years, let's say. And we've been going off the sun for majority, 99% of those years. All of a sudden we created all this electricity and lights and things to keep us up. We're not hardwired like that. It's not healthy for us to be awake for those types of hours. So the healthiest sleep pattern they've seen from sleep doctors is to go from 10 till 6. If you're going for a full 8 hours, 10 till 6 is perfect, okay? Even early is fine. So you go from like, myself, I'm like 8:30 till about 4:30. I find that's my sweet spot. And now I wake up every single day at 4:30, even when I try not to, just because I'm wired that way. I go to bed earlier because I think I'm more beneficial in the morning. I can do more productive things in the morning than at night time, especially with a young family. So I'm like, okay, go home, be with the family, leave work at the door, get all that done, enjoy that experience, and then wake up really early before all of them and get things done so we can get back to that tonight.
So what were some of the steps for you to first make it happen? Like, are there any hacks? Like for me, I still have to put an alarm outside of my room. So when it rings, I run out, I turn it off, and then I'm awake. And then I spend those hours to actually journal, reflect, and then, you know, by the time it's like 6, 7 a.m., I would go to the gym. What is like your morning routine and what are some hacks to get you to wake up?
So I'll start with the hacks it's just setting intentions at the beginning. So you're never going to follow through on anything unless you're trying to get away from pain or toward pleasure. So when I try and do anything in my life, I write down, okay, what pain am I in? What do I need change? Like if someone says to me, I want to lose 10 kilos, I'm like, why though? Like what's 10 kilos to you? You lost 10 kilos in the scales, you've gone from 80 to 70. What does that mean? What's the reason behind that? Okay, well, I've gained that 10 last 3 years. I've lost all my confidence. I don't feel good naked. I don't want to have sex with the lights on. All these kind of thoughts. Where it's like, okay, now we have the reason for change. There's your pain. Now, where's the pleasure? What would it mean to you if you lost that 10 kilos? How would you feel? How would your life change? What's different there? So it even comes down to getting out of bed early. You got to do that thought process first. Why do I even want to get up early and go to the gym? What's that going to change my life? What kind of energy am I going to have? How am I going to feel in my suit or my dress next time I go to that conference in 3 months' time where I've lost 10 kilos and everyone's commenting on it? How am I going to feel next time I go to the beach? Set those intentions first and go, okay, cool. There's my reason why. That's the most important factor, my reason why. Then you can get into the hacks. If you have a strong enough reason why, you'll do anything in life. It's about, you have to ask those questions of yourself to drive the motivation. Motivation doesn't exist until you take those actions, you plan those processes, you see the positive results of your actions, then you get forward.
Yeah, because I think if you're not clear as well, you might wake up and then just have more time on the phone.
We have no reason, yeah. You go like, why am I going to bother going to the gym? The gym is hard work. Like, you're lifting weights and you're puffing and you're sweating. Like, the actual experience itself should not really be enjoyable. It only is enjoyable because you know the positive effect that happens, so if it gets addictive. Like, we love training because we've seen the positive effects of it for years. But the actual process itself, heart racing, sweating, can't breathe, your muscles are sore, doesn't sound enjoyable, but we love doing it because we know how good it makes us feel after.
How long after do you think that if someone is new to exercise, they all of a sudden feel like this is part of me now and I'm enjoying the benefit of it now?
For us, about a month. Yeah, because we kind of overhaul the nutrition, give them the mindset content and the training. We see up to 4 weeks, say like your regular weight loss client has lost around 4 to 6 kilos, okay, in that first 4 weeks. Now that motivates them to go, you know what, this is my new routine, this is my new way of life. Because they go, I don't want to go back to that. And this isn't that hard to do. I get to show up to people I like every day, have a laugh with the members, have a laugh with the team, do classes that are enjoyable, and then someone checks in on my food. They go, okay, I can actually fit this in my life. I can get up at 5, train at 6:15, finish by 7, get showered, get to work by 8 or 9, and they realize I can fit this and the payoff is worth it compared to the extra hour of sleep. Something I always say to my clients is, you'll never get to Sunday and think, oh, I wish I slept an extra hour each day of the week. Never, ever, ever you're going to think like that. No way. By Sunday, you have a little sleep in, you go, oh, I feel amazing. You might think, I wish I got up an hour earlier each day, Monday to Friday, and did a workout. That's far more likely than thinking, I wish I got more sleep during the week. No one ever thinks like that. We always probably regret the sleep we had because we had too much of it.
Yeah, I think I find myself when I sleep in, I actually feel more sluggish.
Worst, yeah.
So then I rather wake up early. So tell me more a little bit about the exercise side of things. So for a long time, I always thought that, running cardio was good for you, but as I got older, I learned more about strength training and, weightlifting. And so I'm still new to that. I'm still green, but yeah, would love for you to share a little bit about the differences and the benefits.
Sure, they all have their own benefits. So cardio has really good benefits for your health as far as your respiratory system, getting your heart rate up, training your heart and things like that, your way of dealing with stress. Cardio is phenomenal for that. Strength training is phenomenal for longevity as far as your bones and your muscle structure and the way you look. So if your primary goal is health, a mixture of both is very important. If your primary goal is physique, then you have to be doing weight training. If you just walk and eat well, you'll end up what people kind of call skinny fat. You won't have any tone to you, okay? So weight training is extremely important for the physique. Cardio isn't what makes you lose fat. Nutrition is what makes you lose fat. Eating in a deficit, so meaning like you're eating less and you're burning in a day, that's what makes you lose body fat. What cardio actually does is just burns more calories, which helps that process. But strength training also burns more calories and has an after effect. So to summarize all that and make it simpler, I would recommend highly, if you're new to it, you make the base of your training 3 to 4 days a week of strength training. And then on the other days, just look to move your body. Whether that's a walk for you, a slight jog, playing golf, going for a surf, just moving your body on the other days while eating in a deficit. So understanding high protein, reduced calories, things like that. And you will be fit and healthy for a very long time, okay? But if you eat too much and you try and work it off through cardio and strength training, whatever you want to try and do, but you can't catch that amount, you'll gain weight forever, even though you're training every day. You must be in a calorie deficit to lose body fat.
So what are your eating routine? Like, do you allow yourself cheat days?
Oh yeah.
Can you run through, you look amazing, you're a business owner, you're busy as well, and you've got kids and you've got, got a family. So can you run through kind of your typical day? What does it look like? How do you, fill up your day with, fitness and eating it right?
Beautiful. Okay, so a typical day for me would be wake up at 4:20 to be precise, and I get straight out of bed and I go straight into a cold shower. So I do 3 minutes cold exposure in the morning, brush my teeth in there, the whole bit. Then I get out, head downstairs. That's where I do my morning priming. So it's a Tony Robbins thing once again. He's getting a lot of plugs today. Yeah. Is I'll do snap breaths. So I'm pumping oxygen into my brain and I'll focus on gratitude. And I'll literally just see my wife, see my kids, see my team, see my family, see my friends, all the clothes on my back, grateful for the roof over my head. I'll ground myself in the most basic gratitude possible. Not grateful for Ferraris and all that kind of stuff. It's like grateful for the most basic things on earth. Because when you're grateful, you can't feel lack, you can't feel stressed, you can't feel anxious. Do 30 more snap breaths, and I'm spiritual, so I pray, and I send love to all my family, and once again, just kind of spread that love out, and then 30 more snap breaths. And
When you say snap breath again, did you say was it fast?
it's like this,
Yeah.
like pumping oxygen.
Yeah. Just your nose through your nose?
Yeah, in and out through the nose. And the last one, this is the most important one. I actually teach this to my clients and I have them do like a 6-week vision, but for me, it's like a year or 2 vision of seeing my life pan out exactly the way I want to pan out. So I see myself.
Visualization.
Yeah, visualization. I see myself in the house. I see myself in our relationship the way it is. I see my kids playing the way I would love to see them play. I go to my businesses and they're operating the way I want to see them operate. We have an abundance in life because everything's kind of worked out well. We're healthy, we're fit. I see that final goal, that kind of destination. And then I think, okay, what are 5 things I can do today to get closer to that goal? 5 little things. Whether they're phone calls I have to make or emails to get back to or film a video or whatever it might be, what are 5 things? Because I want that so badly, that's that getting towards pleasure thing again, where I'm like, okay, I'm going after that. There's my 5 things, tick them off today. So that's my morning routine. Then I obviously get dressed, I'm out of there. So I get straight in the car.
Do you actually do some work? Because I, in the morning, also do some work because I found myself to be very creative and smart. You know, that 5 thing, one of the thing might be coming up with some sort of concept ideas or something. Do you use that?
I do when I get here. So my mornings, because I'm in the fitness industry, they start at like 6 a.m. with people, unfortunately.
That's right.
So it makes it a bit harder. So I get up at 4:20. I do that all by like 15, 20 minutes. I'm out by 4:40, get a coffee on the way. I sit here and I plan out and I kind of, any ideas that come to me, that's when I've got like probably 45 minutes to get them done, get them in place or at least plan them for the day. And that's when I start with clients. So I still have a bit of floor time where I get to engage with the clients. I like to be kind of, I have a finger on the pulse of the product. So I'll train usually about 2 or 3 PTs, maybe a class, a meeting or 2 with my business partner or the team. I'll then train myself around 10 a.m. till about 10.
Do you have a coach?
No, not currently in fitness, but I have coaches in other areas like business and stuff like that. Then about 11:30, that's when I'll finish. And if I don't have a sauna, I'll head home, have lunch, see my puppies, sort out the home stuff, whatever I need to do there. And then I will do like the kind of deep work. That's where I'll plan out videos like you would do, or I would get back to all the emails or call leads or speak to our licensed owners, stuff like that. Back here, usually about 3 o'clock, that's when I start back with the team and just kind of tick things off with the business all day.
Yeah, I love that your gym isn't running all day either. So there's kind of segments in the morning and the night, so you've got more flexibility.
Yeah,
did you design your business to suit your lifestyle or?
Yeah, I think I did. Yeah, especially with the people I hired around me. So I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of my experience be that if I do want to work, I can. If I don't want to work, I don't. And I'm just always been intrinsically driven to do more and try and make it better. But yeah, I've been in a position many times where I didn't have to be anywhere or do anything, but I just chose to because I enjoy working on my business. But then, say during summer or I go on holidays with my wife and family, I know that things are in good hands, which is great.
So tell me what's driven you to kind of design business in this way, or the fact that you care about all those areas of life. Like, has anything happened or things that made you have that aha moment early?
I think it happened really early for me actually. So at 17 years old, I lost my mother through drug addiction and alcohol. So that was a big wake up call for me, I suppose. So I was 17 years old, I was playing footy at the time, I was in year 12, lost my mother. And then, my dad came back in the picture in that process. You were here for the first time.
Yeah.
And then he came back into the picture in that process.
So your mum was a single mum first with you, and he wasn't there.
Yeah, and he was absent, and then he came back. And then from there, the bank basically took our house. So I was technically homeless for about a month there, like kind of sleeping on couches and stuff like that while my dad found a rental. And for me, then I kind of realized in that kind of make or break moment where it's like the world isn't going to come save you. You have to save yourself and figure out kind of a way forward. And I went, okay, well, I went then studying your Tony Robbinses and everyone in the industry that I could kind of get my hands on, like Brendan Bashar, people like that. Just trying to learn from as many as possible. And the common themes I kept finding was understanding, I guess, your schedule, understanding your time, looking after your health, and having discipline to do what you say you're going to do. And I found that no matter what industry people were in who were successful, they were usually doing those types of things. Okay, some miss the health factor, but it catches up with them eventually, and they do focus on it eventually. You see a lot of entrepreneurs who are getting fitter in their 50s and 60s than they are in their 30s and 40s because they're realizing the importance of it. So for me, I was like, I'm seeing this common denominator across all these industries and these happy, successful people. They've got control of their time, their health, their resources. So I went, okay, well, I want to build my life like that, where I can have the freedom to live my life, but also the energy to enjoy it.
That's amazing, because I think often we grow up with trauma. I had childhood trauma, and for a while, I think I was just in this hustle mode because I want to be successful to prove my parents wrong. And I kind of didn't look at other areas because it was just finance. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs get caught up in the financial goal because of whatever happened in their life. They wanted to prove to others that they can be successful. But it's great that you're early on, you can already see what made, you saw success in multiple facets rather than just one angle. Yeah, like anything that you have observed about yourself that made you, considering your house got taken away, so financially you had to build it up again. So yeah, what made you still be able to see other areas?
Yeah, I think I was lucky enough to have rugby league in my life, so I was good at footy back in the day. So that was kind of my path. So it helped me not stray into other things. And that was what really relied upon, obviously, my health and my discipline and my hard work and my mindset. So I just, from that day on, went, okay, well, I'm never going to lose fitness drill ever again. I'm never going to lose a beep test. I'm either going to pass out or I'm going to win the thing. So I just kind of harnessed this strong intrinsic motivation, realizing that to make my mother proud and to kind of live up to what she had done for me was that I had to follow through on those kind of things. So I've just found the best takeaway ever for me has been when you decide you're going to do something, you say it to yourself, don't negotiate with yourself. Like if I sit on the assault bike and I'm like, oh, I'll just finish off with 50 calories. I'm like, oh, 50 is way too many, 30. I'm like, well, you said 50, do the 50.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And like I said, like getting out of the morning, it's like, if I set an alarm for a reason, in a mindset where my brain was actually thinking what's best for future me. Okay, so on a Sunday, you set out your schedule. You say, I'm going to train these days, I'm going to do these calls, I'm going to operate my business in this fashion. And then on Tuesday, your little bitch brain comes in and tries to talk you out of it. Well, don't listen to that brain. Don't negotiate with yourself, because when you're clear-headed and you thought about the future and all the things you wanted, you set a plan for yourself because you clearly knew that was the right thing to do. So stick to that, because right now on a Tuesday, when you're stressed and overwhelmed, you're not in the right mindset. And why I focus on health and stuff so much and why I want time freedom, and I don't just put money as the top driver, is that if I'm living in a state of stressed and busy and rushed, even if I have $1 billion in the bank, I'm living a life of stressed, busy and rushed. I'm not enjoying the human experience, which is fleeting. So that probably comes from losing people at a young age, but I realized that you've got to have a balance of all these things. Is that if it takes giving up 10% more financially to get back 80% of your life, probably a decent trade to make, knowing that you don't get to take any of it with you. Yeah,
that's the thing. Like sometimes people forget that death could be around the corner. We never know when our time's up, and then they live a life as if they've got forever. And you don't need that much money to be happy.
No, my wife literally had someone who she works with in the Melbourne office, 41, just not wake up the next day. Literally had emails from this lady in her inbox.
Just recently?
Yeah, last week. Emails in her inbox from this lady. And then she woke up to these emails and this lady was no longer with us. Like, that's the kind of stuff that could happen. Obviously, we're not trying to scare people out there,
but it's the fact of life,
Yeah, if you're not enjoying your life.
And it's not just even your life, it could be someone you love's life and you didn't have time to be with them as well.
That's huge, yeah. If you if you have a family and you realise once you have kids that they are the number one thing and you want to spend that time with them. So something I've always made really, really important in my business is 95% of the time, I'm home for dinner with my family, my young son and my pregnant wife, and I shower him, put him to bed, the whole bit, like do the whole routine. And that's like, I very rarely miss that. Even though I could be here doing things that could push the business forward, there's got to be some kind of compromise at some point. If you're going to enjoy the human experience and have children, have a family, have the money, you've got to be able to enjoy it.
So tell me a little bit about your spiritual side, because I'm very interested in that as well. I became a bit more spiritual over 10 years ago. And the last 3 years, I actually found my faith with Christianity. But I'd love to hear.
Mine is exactly the same. Yeah, so I've always been spiritual. I've always been Christian my whole life. Steered much more into it through my early teens when I understood it more, and then I've been a believer in God my whole life.
Wow, that's amazing. Because I always am amazed at how can young kids, even believe in it, because kids are just stupid and
for some reason I read the Bible when I was in primary school.
You're a very mature soul.
Well, I had to grow up fast, lose mum at 17. But I read the Bible when I was a kid in primary school for some reason, like the whole thing back to back. It was like a kid's Bible.
I am struggling to read it right now, and
it's not an adult Bible, it's a kid's Bible.
Maybe I should start on that.
I've just always found I don't know, I've always had this real belief in God. So you've got whatever you believe God to be, but I've always felt like there's a power up there looking after me. And every time that I was in a bad spot, and I'd visualize what I wanted and I'd manifest it in a way,
Yeah.
my phone would just ring.
It's like a miracle.
And I'd get a text or I'd get an email, things just fall into place.
Yeah.
And it's not like magic. Obviously, there's a whole lot of intention in my mind where I'm seeing something and I'm making small micro decisions to get closer to that thing, which everyone does every day. Which is another thing. Like if you live in a negative mindset where you think all people are bad, you'll make micro decisions all day to convince yourself you're right. You get this echo chamber of yourself. You're like, everyone sucks. My life sucks, everything works out poorly for me, and you'll make sure that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Or if you believe in abundance, you believe that money's just energy, and you believe that everything will come to you if you just have the right intentions, and you make little decisions towards that, you'll prove yourself right all day. So it all comes down to, my spiritual side of things, strong belief in God, always believe that he will look out for me. He'll test me, of course.
Yeah.
But then having, I guess, the visualization side of things and manifestation, whether that's God or just spirituality, universe, knowing that if I fixate on something enough and make the right decisions and treat people right, it should work out.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's exactly how I've kind of discovered it all now too. So just as we wrap this up, I guess everything that you're doing is amazing, inspiring. What do you want the world to remember you for?
Great question. I think the biggest thing for me is I want to make sure the people I've kind of touched in my life and had connection with, that I left them in a better place. I want to, everyone I meet, if I have the opportunity to, I want to improve them in some way, whether it be physically, whether it be their way they see the world, whether it be having a more positive mindset or building their skill set. I just want, when I'm gone, the people that I was involved with to be like, he was great, he helped me in this way.
Yeah.
I think that's really important for me. Not necessarily the world, more so the people in my community and the people I touch one-to-one or one-to-many, like things like this. I just hope that each person, thinks that he had his heart in the right place and he helped me in some sort of way.
That's beautiful. That's probably the words that I would say as well. I think we have a lot more things in common
Seems
than I
that way.
thought. It was great chatting with you, having this
Thank you,
opportunity to do the podcast right here. I felt I got to know you so much, and we've had a lot of things in common. So thank you.
Thank you very much. That was
Thank
great.
you. Well, thank you so much, guys. If you love this episode, please like and subscribe, and I will see you again in the next episode. Bye.
See you guys.